A dog, in a non-maternal state, adopted and protected a tiny squirrel. We observe the subtle behaviors that allowed the wild creature to trust its natural enemy. Settle in for their journey. If you believe in the power of these stories, a simple like helps our channel immensely. Now let us enter their world. The setting is a simple domestic one, yet the drama unfolding within it touches on something primal. This is the story of Tiny, a baby eastern gray squirrel, small enough to be mistaken for a leaf, and Tally, a young Labrador Retriever. Tiny was an orphan, found alone in the aftermath of a sudden storm, a fragile scrap of life that would not have lasted an hour in the open. His eyes were still closed, his tiny body radiating fear more than warmth. He was brought inside, destined for the careful, clinical world of human intervention. But fate, in this case, wore the face of a dog. Tally was not a mother. She had never carried a litter, and her behavioral profile suggested no latent maternal drive. She was, by all accounts, an ordinary, playful puppy. Yet, the moment Tally was introduced to the infant squirrel, the air changed. The playful hunting drive that defines her breed vanished, replaced by a profound, curious stillness. She did not lick him, she did not nudge him. She simply watched, with the measured, deliberate patience of an old soul. It was in this quiet intervention that a foundation of trust was built. Tally presented no threat, a lack of aggression that allowed Tiny's instinctive, high-alert nervous system to slowly, tentatively, begin to disarm. This was not a rescue defined by a dramatic moment, but by a continuous, conscious choice of peace. The first challenge was not survival, but acceptance. Tiny, the tiny squirrel, needed warmth and stimulus, the kind of tactile comfort his true mother would provide. Tally, the dog, understood this need on an instinctual level, bypassing her species programming. She began to offer her belly as a warm nest, a vast, soft continent upon which Tiny could be safe. We observed the dog's behavior shift. She learned to position her large, powerful body as a thermal incubator, adjusting her breathing to a slow, shallow rhythm that would not startle the fragile creature. This was a maternal care unburdened by hormones. It was an empathy forged entirely by observation and choice. She would gently lick the squirrel, not with the rough, cleaning strokes used on a puppy, but with the tip of her tongue, a delicate, almost surgical touch necessary for digestion and stimulation. This deliberate precision was the first true evidence of her commitment. As weeks passed, Tiny opened his eyes to a world framed by the protective fur of a creature that should have represented mortal peril. To him, the Labrador's scent was not a threat. It was home. He learned to navigate the terrain of her body, burrowing deep when she slept and emerging for the feedings provided by their human caretakers. The bond deepened when play began. A squirrel's play is quick, vertical, and unpredictable. A dog's play is rough, wrestling, and grounded. For their relationship to function, Tally was the one who had to compromise. She moved with an impossible, breathtaking gentleness. She would lower her massive head to Tiny's level, allowing him to scurry over her nose, her eyes following his movements with laser focus, but her teeth remaining tightly sheathed. This restraint was a profound act of loyalty. It was the dog consciously overriding millions of years of predatory instruction. The true confrontation of this story was the inevitable re-emergence of Tiny's wildness. As Tiny developed, his squirrel instincts began to activate. He became jumpy, began stashing food, and looked for vertical escape routes, instinctively moving away from the earth and toward the sky. The question became, could Tally's chosen love conquer the squirrel's inherent nature? There was a moment one afternoon that clarified everything. A sharp, unexpected clap of thunder from outside sent Tiny scrambling in a panic. He did not run for a cabinet or a window. He ran instinctively to the deepest folds of Tally's neck, settling into the warm, safe space beneath her chin. Tally, startled by the thunder, responded not by fleeing or barking, but by immediately adopting a rigid, protective posture. Her low, rumbling whimper was not a noise of distress, but of deep, protective affirmation. It was a communication understood without words, without a shared species. Her large body became an unmoving wall, a shield against the chaos of the outside world. She held the tremor in her own body still for the sake of the creature she had chosen to mother. In that moment, the predator and the prey dissolved. There was only the nurturer and the nurtured, and the silence of a bond stronger than any inherited fear. The dog, who was never meant to be a mother, had defined the very essence of maternal love, a deliberate, unwavering commitment to protect, even when every instinct tells you to chase. The story of Tiny and Tally serves as a quiet rebuke to the idea that instinct is an unbreakable chain. Their relationship eventually settled into a routine that was both domestic and deeply wild. Tiny, having motored, began to exhibit more of his natural squirrel independence. He would leave the sanctuary of Tally's side to explore, to climb, and to perform the essential duties of a squirrel. But he always came back. He would return not out of necessity, but out of a deep-seated desire for the comfort that only the large, gentle dog could provide. This was no longer a forced adoption. It was a chosen, symbiotic bond. Tally continued her watch, a quiet, constant presence, sometimes dozing while Tiny played nearby, never moving suddenly, always respectful of the distance the wild creature occasionally required. Their existence is the proof that primal rearing is not about species. It is about stillness, patience, and the ultimate, humbling sacrifice of self-interest. The loyalty they share reaffirms that the capacity for profound, protective love is woven into the fabric of life itself, waiting for the right moment of vulnerability to be revealed. We see in the dog's gentle muzzle and the squirrel's trusting embrace the undeniable potential for empathy to bridge the widest chasm of difference. Thank you for joining us. If this story moved you, please consider liking and subscribing. It truly helps us bring more stories like this to light. We have a question for you. What was the single moment in this story that resonated with you the most? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one,